Hey everyone, it's me again, Joseph, your host, and welcome back to our channel and the Catechism for Kids. Today, we're going to talk about a super famous saint, someone you might think you already know. We're talking about the one, the only, Saint Nicholas. You might know him better by another name, Santa Claus. But who is the real man behind the legend? Let's find out. Saint Nicholas lived a very, very long time ago, back in the 4th century. That's over 1700 years ago. He was a bishop in a city called Myra, which is in the country we now call Turkey. He wasn't from the North Pole, and there were definitely more sandals than snow boots where he lived. Nicholas was born around the year 270. His parents were wealthy and were strong Christians. They taught him from a young age to love God and to always care for other people. But sadly, when Nicholas was still young, his parents passed away. He inherited a lot of money, but he didn't want to spend it on himself. Instead, he decided to use his entire fortune to help the poor and anyone who was struggling. And he was famous for doing it in secret. No social media posts, no big announcements, just quiet acts of kindness. When the city of Myra needed a new bishop, the people wanted someone holy and wise. Nicholas was chosen for the job. As a bishop, he was like a good shepherd, taking care of everyone in his community. How Nicholas became a bishop is a mystery. One version of the story is that shortly after Father Nicholas returned from the Holy Land, the Bishop of Myra died. The clergy of Myra then gathered to pick a successor. During their meeting, God inspired them to pick the first person to enter their church the following morning. Because Father Nicholas had spent the entire night in prayer, he was the first person in the church and was chosen bishop. He defended the Christian faith, helped the sick, and always looked out for the poor. He was a true leader, full of courage and love. During his time as Bishop of Myra, a great persecution broke out in the Roman Empire under Emperor Diocletian. In 303, Diocletian, Maximian, Galerius, and Constantius, who made up a tetrarchy that governed the whole Roman Empire, issued a series of edicts outlawing Christianity and imposing the penalties of torture and death on those who practiced the faith. This was the last and the most violent persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire. At some point between the years of 303 and 306, Bishop Nicholas was among those arrested and tortured. In 305, Diocletian renounced the throne, and in 306, Caesar Constantius died. Constantius' son Constantine then became Caesar in his place and ordered Bishop Nicholas's release. In 312, Constantine is said to have seen a vision of the cross with the words, "In this sign you will conquer." In 313, he and his co-emperor Licinius issued the Edict of Milan, granting religious tolerance to Christians. Now, let's get to the fun stories, the legends and miracles that made him so famous. One of the most well-known tales is about 3 poor sisters. Their father didn't have enough money for their dowries, which meant they couldn't get married and faced a very difficult life. Nicholas heard about their problem and knew he had to help. One night, he secretly went to their house and threw a bag of gold coins inside. Some say he tossed it right down the chimney. The father was overjoyed and used the money for his oldest daughter's wedding. Nicholas came back 2 more times, leaving gold for the other 2 sisters as well. One of the bags of gold is said to have landed in a stocking that was hanging by the fire to dry. And that, my friends, is how the tradition of hanging stockings for Christmas got started. Another amazing story is about how he saved some sailors. A group of sailors were caught in a terrible storm at sea. Their ship was being tossed around by massive waves and they were terrified, cried out to Nicholas for help. Suddenly, he appeared on their ship, calmed the storm, and guided them safely to shore. Because of this miracle, he became the patron saint of sailors, the person they pray to for protection at sea. He was also known for his deep love for children. One legend tells of 3 boys who were in terrible danger. Saint Nicholas miraculously saved them and returned them safely to their families. This story is why he's often called the protector of children. Saint Nicholas even helped his city during a famine. When ships full of grain arrived at the port, he asked the sailors to share some of it with the starving people of Myra. The sailors were worried because the grain was meant for the emperor, but they trusted Nicholas. Miraculously, after they shared the grain, their ships were still just as full as before. Everyone had enough to eat, all thanks to his faith. These incredible stories of generosity and protection are why St. Nicholas is the inspiration behind our modern Christmas traditions. His feast day is December 6th, and for centuries, people celebrated it by giving small gifts to children just like he did. The tradition of Sinterklaas in the Netherlands comes directly from St. Nicholas. On December 5th, kids leave out their shoes, hoping Sinterklaas will fill them with treats. When Dutch settlers came to America, they brought this tradition with them. Over time, the name Sinterklaas slowly changed into Santa Claus. The date of the celebration eventually shifted to merge with Christmas on December 25th. In the 1800s, American writers and artists started drawing a cheerful, jolly man in a red suit, based on the stories of St. Nicholas. That's how we got the image of Santa Claus we know today. But even though the picture changed, the spirit of giving, kindness, and love for children all comes from the real St. Nicholas. Now for a story you might not have heard. St. Nicholas was also a defender of the faith. He was at a very important church meeting called the Council of Nicaea. A man named Arius was teaching things about Jesus that weren't true, and Nicholas got so passionate about defending the truth that some stories say he actually punched Arius. He got in a little trouble for it, but it shows how much he cared about his faith. He was a saint who was both jolly and tough. So, how do people celebrate his feast day on December 6th? In Germany, kids clean their shoes and leave them out, hoping for candy and gifts. In Italy, where his relics are kept in the city of Bari, there are big parades and special church services. And in some parts of the United States, families keep the tradition alive by leaving out shoes or stockings for St. Nicholas to fill with small surprises. St. Nicholas shows us that true generosity comes from a loving heart. He gave without ever wanting thanks or attention. He simply wanted to help. His life teaches us that our small acts of kindness can have a huge impact. You don't have to be a bishop or have lots of money to follow his example. So as we get closer to Christmas, let's remember the real Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, a man who was generous, brave, and full of faith. His life is a reminder of the true spirit of giving. Let's end our session with a prayer. St. Nicholas, through your intercession, God has touched many lives. The legends of your life have inspired faith throughout the centuries. Just as your priestly and episcopal ministry impacted the people of your day, please pray for me, that I will become a true saint and fulfill the mission God has given to me. St. Nicholas of Myra, pray for me. Jesus, I trust in you. Amen. Here's something to think about this week. How can you show kindness to someone without them knowing it was you? What's one small, generous thing you can do for your family or a friend? St. Nicholas' story encourages us all to share our blessings and spread joy, not just at Christmas, but all year long. Thanks so much for watching and learning about the incredible life of St. Nicholas. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the saints. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and healthy as usual. See you next time, and God bless you always.